Good morning, sir. My name is Casey Masangke. For today, I will present my presentation about the crime scene photography. Crime scene photography is usually have very specific and purposes for capturing each image. Crime scene photography is very specific to the crime scene as a whole and the specific evidences na makukuha doon. Through the use of camera, through the means of camera, through photography, through the application of the settings. Next is the purpose of crime scene photography. So we have here four purpose: to record the original scene and areas, to record the initial appearance of physical evidence, provide investigators the permanent record of the scene for future use, used for court trials and hearings. To record the original scene and areas, para magkaroon tayo ng permanent record ng ating original scene, which is the crime scene and the area as a whole, as well as the physical evidences na meron tayo doon. Again, first thing we need to understand and remember is that kaya po tayo gumagamit ng photography. We use photography as an evidence because literally a picture or photo says a thousand words, and it proves a true and a accurate portrayal ng ating crime scene and the physical evidences that is present. So, ayun po ang purpose ng ating crime scene photography kasi through the use of photograph, di ba, nakikita natin if you are the investigator o tayo yung judge or tayo yung officer or lawyer and so on, makikita natin kung ano ang incident na nangyari. Next is to record the initial appearance of physical evidence. As well as kung ano ba yung location niya or position niya sa crime scene to record the initial state of the scene before any evidences was removed kasi tatanggalin yan, kokolek yan, merong nasira on alter, intentionally or not, through the use of photograph, nakuhanan mo na siya ng picture. You have now the initial appearance of the evidence to be specific. Next is provide investigators the permanent record of the scene for future use. So, yun na nga yung binabanggit ko kanina na we have now the permanent record na pwede nating magamit for future use, for nag-iimbestiga ka pa or ongoing pa lang yung investigation as well as the court proceeding, ongoing pa yung trial. So we have this record, we have this photograph na meron ka na. 'Di ba? Di mo na kailangang ulit-ulitin or i-recall sa isip mo lang kung ano nang itsura nito, kung anong itsura nun. We have this photograph na makikita mo agad-agad. So, meron tayong photograph na mare-retrieve mo agad-agad. And next is used for court trials and hearings. And that's the last one na magagamit natin sa court and trials and hearings kasi tinatanggap ang ating photograph as an evidence during court proceeding, pero meron tayo diyang limitations kung ano lang ba yung pwede nating gamitin na pag-uusapan po natin sa susunod na topic. If you are using still the camera, or are we allowed? Next is the two general classification of crime scene photography. We have here the outdoor photography and the indoor photography. So, unahin po natin yung outdoor photography. Outdoor photography we can say literally, the outdoor photography ang tawag sa gagawin mo kapag yung crime ay nangyari or naganap sa labas, hindi po sa loob ng bahay or sa loob ng kwarto o sa loob ng enclosure. Outdoor photography po ang tawag natin doon. Kahit po kasi outside or indoor nangyari yung krimen, you can still find evidences. You can still search physical evidences outside, yung mga tracing evidence po natin like shoe print, footprints, and tire marks na pwede nating makita outdoor. Next is indoor photography. Indoor photography kapag ang krimen ay nangyari po inside the building, enclosure, a room, is tinatawag po nating indoor photography. Ang una po nating kinukuhanan ay syempre po yung pinapasukan or entrance po or exit ng suspect. Especially po when there is a intrusion na nangyari na may sinira na pader, pintuan o bintana or so on. And of course, all of the physical evidences na makikita po sa area, the tracing evidences na physical evidences na present sa ating pong crime scene. So, that's all po yung dalawang general classifications of the crime scene photography, the outdoor photography, and the indoor photography. So, we have here the example of outdoor photography na makikita. Pwede po nating makita sa outdoor photography ang mga evidences ng footprints or time marks. And next sa indoor po, yung mga evidences po na ginamit or so on. Next is the crime scene photography technique. We have 3 crime scene photography technique. We have here the overall photographs, mid-range photographs, and the close-up photographs. Overall photographs is photographing of a crime scene should start with location shots, which are wide angle photographs of the general crime scene and surrounding areas. They will present a big picture of the overall scene and to show its layout and to show the relationship between various species of a evidence at the scene. This may involve aerial photograph from an discraft from some other elevated vantage point nearby, or simply general shot from a distance. It is the scene itself is an indoor one. Work on a minimum of 10 photographs of a room using a wide angle lens, one from each corner looking diagonally to the opposite corner, one from the center of the opposite wall, one from near floor level at the end of the room looking up to the ceiling height looking down to the floor of the room, giving the total of 10 photographs, mid-range photographs. Next is the mid-range photograph. Mid-range photograph is the next set of photographs should be your mid-range shots. This shows the relationships of items of evidences to each other and to the scene proper. They should be photographed from normal viewing height and the same perspective any person in the room or at the scene would have when walking through them. And remember, your photographs will eventually be viewed by a judge or a panel of jurors, and they must be able to relate to the scene easily with no distortions or confusions. Next and last is the close-up photographs. Close-up photographs, usually the final series of the photographs will be close-ups to show details of important pieces of evidences which you have already identified in your mid-range photography. Items with which relative size are important should be photographed with and without a scale. The item should be firstly photographed as located, then photographed again including the scale. It is important that the scale is placed on the same plane as the item, and that the film plane is parallel to the scale. And we have here the example of overall photographs, mid-range photographs, and close-up photographs. And next, we have here the rules to observe in crime scene photography. Ang rule number 1 po natin ay do not disturb the crime scene. Rule number 2, get a complete series of pictures. Rule number 3, pay attention to camera angles. And the last rule is record all data. The photographer should take a photograph in anything before anything is disturbed, progressively working through the scene from outside to close up pictures, and main shots should be taken from the entire scene and to medium shots to show the relationships of evidence to the overall scene, and record all that data for you to serve in the court. And that's all. Thank you.